Welcome to FNB training. Welcome to FNB YouTube channel. Uh, I'm your presenter, one of the administrators, Douglas. I take this opportunity to welcome you and thank you for subscribing. If you have not yet subscribed, please hit the subscribe button. Okay, we're going to continue with our training that we've already started, and it's F&B beverage classification, which is a very important part in food and beverage industry. So far, we've looked at part 1, 2, and 3, and today we're going to look at the part 4. Part 4, we're going to be looking at wine classification. Okay, so let's proceed straight to the training. Okay, this is our learning objective. We've been speaking about it in all the trainings that we've had before, and most importantly, we've said that we want to make all our learners beverage ambassadors, people who have very good knowledge in food and beverage. Let's proceed. Okay, this is the chart that has been guiding us through the classification process. I will not go deep to it so that we do not spend so much time in it, but I would just want to take you, I just want to show you where we are at the moment. I'll zoom in, okay. Part 3, if I can just remind you of what we did in part 3, we spoke about fermented beverages right over here. The fermented beverages, then we spoke about beers, wines, ciders, and perry. Today we are going to be looking still at the process of fermentation, but we're going to go from here. We're going to pick up wine, and then we're going to discuss about still or slash table wines, sparkling, aromatized wines, and fortified wines. That is what you're going to be looking at today. Okay, let's proceed with the slides. Okay, because since we're going to be talking about wine, we're going to look also at the processes that is involved to getting the actual wine. So we said wine goes through a process of fermentation, and we basically said fermentation is a natural process or a reaction whereby sugar reacts with yeast, and we get alcohol and carbon dioxide. Examples of fermented drinks, we said, is wine, beer, and ciders, and today we're going to be talking about wine. We'll go to the next slide. Okay. Again, we talked about the definition of wine. What is wine? In simple words, we can say wine is an alcoholic beverage made from fresh fermented grapefruit juice. Okay. I will jump to the slide so that we don't make the presentation long than required. Okay, so again, let me just scroll back and take you to the chart and show you where we're going to start from. So we've said that we're going to look at table, still and table wines. Okay, that will be our first slide. Here we are. Okay, so looking at the introduction of table wines, what do we mean by table wines? Okay, table wines, they will be referred sometimes as table wines, still wines, or natural wines. Why are they referred to this? Because the freshly grape juice that is fermented, we get the wine, and the wine, there's nothing else that added to it. All the carbon dioxide that is produced during the fermentation process is allowed to escape. Nothing is captured into the wine. So that's why they're mostly people will refer to as still. That means no bubbles, or natural, because just the process of just fermenting and fermenting the grapefruit juice, you have the wine, and the other process that just is involved will be aging of the wine. Table wines, this is just it's some people call it table wines because they're actually drunk during let's say it's through a meal period, okay, while just dining over the table, enjoying your meal. Basically a red wine will go with red meat, Okay, and then we'll have white wine going with either poultry, fish. But anyway, we'll go into depth about pairing wines and food on a later date. Okay, so we've said that the table wines will actually include red, white, rosé wine. Normally, these wines accompany a meal. The alcoholic content generally is very low compared to others. It's actually between 10 to 12%. But there's other categories of German wines that will have even less. Will go up to 8 to 10% alcohol by volume. So as I've said before, generally red meat will go with red wine. That when I say red meat, I refer to beef, pork, and lamb served with red wines. And white wines such as chicken or fish will go with white wines. Okay, a good example of a very famous red wines or region in France that is really known for good varieties of wine, that will be Bordeaux and Burgundy. And okay, this we're going to be discussing it on a later date when you look wine by region. That is regions of France, okay, which is one of the highest producing country in wine. Okay, I hope the clarification has been simple and clear about the table wines. Okay, we'll move on to the next classification of wine, where we're going to look at sparkling wine. Okay, definition. These wines with these are kinds of wine with either bubbly or sparkling character. This is because the carbon dioxide is trapped in them and it makes it fizzy. During the fermentation process, there's a first fermentation and there's another second fermentation that actually happens inside the bottle. We're going to look into details when we are actually talking about the process of making champagnes. Or if you go through the YouTube channel, you'll see already there's one that is published about champagne making process. You can actually go and have a head start before we discuss it in the one before we feature it in one of the trainings. Okay, alcoholic content is less than 14%, and these wines are drunk on festive occasions or throughout a meal. Example of a sparkling wine that will be the most famous champagne. Okay, and that will be it about sparkling wines. We'll move on to the next classification of wines. And the next one we're going to look at is aromatized wines. Okay. Aromatized wines will be basically table wines or still wines. These wines will be actually, they will, like the word says, aromatized. That means they've been added or they've been flavored with either herbs, okay, that gives it another flavor, okay, and that is the main difference. That's another category. Once a table wine is flavored with herbs, then it becomes aromatized. Good example is the vermouth. Okay, we're going to be talking about the vermouth in depth, basically in making cocktails, and we're going to be talking about it. So, in simple words, okay, it can either a table wine will be blended with either some extracts of herbs, vanilla, or other spices, and that's all about the aromatized wine. That is wine with aromas. Okay, in simple words. Let's proceed to the next classification that we have. Excuse me. Okay, the second classification, the next classification we're looking at is fortified wines. Okay, fortified wines. This again we'll say table wines that have been added grape spirit to increase the alcoholic content. We've said table wines, the alcoholic percent is either from 10, 11 to 12. But again, for them to be classified as fortified wines, that means grape spirit is added to bring the alcoholic content from up to 18 to 22 alcohol by volumes. An example of these wines will be sherry, port, Madeira, and Masala. These kinds of wines are either drunk before or after meal as aperitif or digestive. Aperitifs are actually beverages drunk before food to stimulate or to give one appetite. And then after meal as a digestive to help digest the food. Okay, and that will be the end of classification of wines. Okay, we'll go again to our chart and see what we have. So we've spoken about wine classification. The first classification was table wines, sparkling wines, aromatized wine, and fortified wines. Okay, now what you get in the next slide that you're going to look at, we're going to look at aromatized wine. And the aromatized wines, you're going to look at vermouth, bitters, and anise. And then we're going to make another slide that will be featuring fortified wines. And then we're going to talk about port, sherry, Madeira, and masala so that you can know what is the difference between these kinds of fortified and aromatized wines. That will be the end of our training for today. I hope you've learned something, and thank you very much for your time. And if you have not yet subscribed, please subscribe. Thank you very much and have a good day.